Joining us, criminal defense attorney Michael Bixon, civil attorney, former prosecutor Elizabeth Emanuel, and criminal defense attorney Dwayne Singleton. Welcome to you all. She has not testified. The jury hasn't met her, hasn't heard from her, hasn't seen her. Do they need to see her? Do they need to hear from her?
I think at this point they do. I mean, it's obvious.
Who's going to call her?
I think the defense might at this point, if the state doesn't. I mean, it's clear that we don't know the whole story. There are elements here that are missing or that we don't know or that haven't been brought in just yet. But there are holes in this case. I mean, that much is clear, right? And whether it's her involvement or how she ties into everything. And I don't know whether or not the defense is just trying to slowly eat away at it. I mean, usually you'd see some overall theme that it would tie into, which we haven't seen other than he didn't do it. But I mean, it's evident that, what they're doing right now is just slowly eating away piece by piece the evidence that the state is putting forth.
I would agree. Angela Wright is in this case. I believe that she would be called by the defense. The fact that the prosecution did not bring her up in the direct and defense had to break her up in the cross-examination shows that she is very much going to be an integral part of this case.
I mean, we're still looking for some kind of theory of the case, for the defense to put up something to put some holes in this so we can show some reasonable doubt. At this point, I really don't see where they've put up a theory yet, and so I think they're pointing towards Angela.
And so how do they tie it together? All right, so give me a reason. I'm trying to say, okay, so if she's at all involved in all of this, how does that give Curtis Wright a reason to murder Dr. Sievers?
We heard some theories sort of briefly, I mean very briefly, thrown out there, and you heard the defense earlier sort of hint that there might have been some extra type of relationship between Sievers and Wright. That quickly got shut down by the judge, right. Whether they had some type of extramarital affair or whatever, right?
So is this where the defense has to go in their case and kind of explore the sexual appetites of the killer and his wife and the victim and the defendant and try to figure this all out?
I mean, they've alluded to it a little bit, but they drew an objection from the state when they tried to get a little bit into the sexual orientation of the killer. And so I don't know where exactly they're going, though, yet. They haven't shown their hand.
Agreed. I don't know where they're going with this, but I just know that...
Can I ask you about this photo that we're looking at? This is the actual wedding. So at the wedding is when he solicits his friend, and there he is. Do we know which one's the killer and which one is the defendant? Because I don't. Can you tell the difference?
They look like twins.
A little too Breaking Bad between the two of them. I can't.
It's like twins.
Yeah.
Like a mirror.
So and the jury has seen all this. Right. These are photos that are in evidence. So do you think at some point, if the prosecution doesn't call Angela Wright, that the defense is going to put her up there, or just leave her as this person that's kind of out there, that is seemingly suspicious, and let the jurors' minds wander where they may?
No, I think they're going to put her up. They have to. They've already, brought in her in the cross-examination. This is her number, and the number may have been called from a burner phone. So they have to call her as a witness.
Well, and if she's communicating with the burner phone, then she has to know of something that's going on. Why else would she have the burner phone number?
That's what I want to know, but we haven't got the answer. All right, when we come back, there's been a lot of issues with this jury, and things have come up, and there was more today. So we're going to talk about that and go through it with our experts tonight. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Finding dental and insurance plans can be confusing. Confusing like, why am I sitting here in a hospital gown waiting to get my eyes checked?
Ready?
Absolutely not. See, having the wrong coverage can mean you get the wrong care, or you're paying more than you have to. That's why I love Health Markets, your insurance marketplace. They make sure you have the right coverage, health insurance, Medicare, and yes, dental too. Wow. Think that's painful? Wait till he gets the bill. A cavity can cost as much as $350, and a root canal, whoa. But with Health Markets, for less than $1 a day, you can save a bundle every time you go to the dentist. Exams, cleanings, and x-rays, those are covered at 100%. That sounds free to me. Plus, Health Markets has plans with coverage for fillings, crowns, dentures, even root canals. With over 200,000 dental providers to choose from, it's easy to get the care you need. Heck, there's even options with no waiting periods. Call today and you can save tomorrow. Now that'll keep you smiling.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron O'Neill. In my practice, I've seen how expensive dental procedures can absolutely devastate a family's budget. Don't put off needed dental work just because you think you can't afford it. Let Health Markets find you a dental plan that can start saving you money right away. They even have plans with no waiting periods. Call Health Markets now to get the right plan and save money. Health Markets can truly put that smile back on your face.
And get this, Health Markets guarantees the lowest price on the plans they offer. Want to know how much they can save you? Call Health Markets. They make finding insurance fast and easy because they know you have better things to do.
Your insurance marketplace, Health Markets.
You can save now on dental plans with Health Markets. Call 800-913-3850. 800-913-3850. Call Health Markets now.
Best Fiends. Collect JoJo and tons of other cute characters. Solve thousands of fun puzzles. Download Best Fiends for free today. That's friends without the R. Best Fiends.
CashNetUSA.com, man. I help when money's tight. If approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow. Ha! Ha!
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. See disclaimer for law firms. Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one used talcum powder for routine feminine hygiene and later suffered from ovarian cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. The use of talc-based powders has been linked to ovarian cancer, and many large manufacturers of talc-based products fail to properly warn women that the use of talcum powder could lead to ovarian cancer. If you were diagnosed with ovarian cancer, or if a loved one even died from ovarian cancer, talcum powder may be to blame. Call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Call Nightline Legal to speak with an experienced attorney to determine if you may qualify. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
1-800-510-2403. Again, that's 1-800-510-2403.
Juror questions are awesome. I know a lot of lawyers, like the ones I'm sitting next to, probably hate them, but in a lot of jurisdictions around the country, it's becoming more and more common. A witness finishes testifying, then the judge says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you have any questions, write them down, and they write them down. The judge, the lawyers look at them, make sure they're proper questions, and then there's questions asked of the witness that the lawyers have no control over, and they hate it. So that's the way it's supposed to go, though. There's like a filter, right? They write them down, and they decide if they're proper questions. Well, what happened in court today was not your traditional juror question. It's in the middle of testimony. A juror is a little confused about what's going on, so just speaks up. Take a listen.
Sir? Is it appropriate to ask if when we are given a phone number that we are given a name to attach to it also?
That'll be up to the state to ask that question and or for them to link it to other exhibits that are in evidence.
The number to which you referred, the 573 numbers, were you able to attribute that particular number to a name? It is attributed to Jimmy Rogers.
Oh, you know, jurors say the darndest things. But, you know, it was important because I think the juror and maybe jurors were lost at that moment. There's all these phone numbers, and the jury can't follow, well, whose phone is that? Whose phone is that? Who's calling who? And you as the prosecutor with the burden of proof, it's really incumbent on you to make sure everything's clear, easy, and digestible for the jury, especially in a complicated case like this with numerous sets of phones with different area codes and everything else. But you saw what happened there. The question was asked by the juror. The judge said, well, no, you can't ask that question. So the prosecutor asked it to clear it up for the jury. All right, Michael Bixon, has that ever happened to you?
I've never had a juror just blurt out a question and then have the state sort of reiterate it, but I can imagine the defense was just sitting going, shh, shh, quiet, we don't need that right now. And if they mess up the case, that's on them, because the juror just gave them a wide open, sort of avenue for help us understand this a little bit more. This is exactly what we need to know. And the defense, I'm sure, did not love that.
Yeah. Do you like juror questions just as a general rule of thumb?
I don't. We have a judge that's just recently started doing that, and I don't like it at all because it kind of catches you a little off guard but you got to address it because the jury wants to know. But today was one of those technical days where they had all these phone numbers, and I see how the jury could have very easily gotten confused.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything? I've been covering these cases for a long time, and I've never once had a juror in the middle of testimony like, I've got a question. Like sometimes they may raise their hand if they go to the bathroom or something, but
yeah, it was almost like they were in a classroom or watching or talking to like the television. I got a question, and then even when he asked, he said, "Is it appropriate that I ask this question?" and proceeded to ask the very same question that he asked, "Was it appropriate?"
And I think anytime you preface a question with "Is it appropriate?"
It's
probably not appropriate. So what do you think the impact of this is? Is there a message now that goes to the prosecution to say, hey, you need to really clean this up for this jury?
Yes, it is, because I always say, even if you have compelling evidence, if nobody understands it, then it's pretty much useless. So it does go to the prosecutor to say, okay, look, explain this better because it's going over our heads. So I think that was very helpful to the prosecution because the prosecutor ended up just asking the same question that the juror shouted out.
Yeah, and I ultimately, my goal here is different than the prosecutors and defense attorneys. Is the truth. I just want the truth. I want the jury to have as much information as possible so they understand what happened. But that's just me, folks. Another juror issued today. Let's take a listen. And these have been happening throughout. As you know, each and every day, the jury goes home. But this week, they've been going home a little bit earlier, which has caused some problems.
Please be seated. Ma'am, do you remember your juror ID number?
252.
Okay. And ma'am, tell me what happened. And, as long as you're telling us, you don't have to be worried about anything. You're fine.
Okay. I went to work yesterday because it's the holidays and people are asking for time off, so I wanted to be honest and not just go home and take advantage of the day. You said we weren't sequestered, and it was just, people are trying to figure out stuff. I just say, I can't talk about it, but I woke up this morning and I'm thinking, am I putting the case at jeopardy because I want to be a nice person and, show up. I'm not talking about it, but people can figure stuff out.
Well, the key is if you're not talking about it, if people are telling you what they think about it, then you need to tell them you can't talk about it and walk away.
No, they're not telling me what they think. I did hear somebody say they were following a case. But like I say, they were all happy to see me. And I'm just like, they know something's going on. I can't talk about it, but I felt myself like, maybe I messed up the integrity of what I'm supposed to be doing.
As long as you follow the instructions, if you see something about it, close it and don't read it, and and don't talk about it.
I'm sick of HGTV right now.
Well, maybe some direct movies, right? Well, thank you, ma'am. State, any questions?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
Just briefly, ma'am, was there anything that you feel any of your coworkers did or said that would influence the way you're going to perceive evidence or decide this case?
No, sir. It was me, thinking, did I do something wrong by trying to do the right thing? And people, ask questions, and I'm just like, I can't talk about it. I know how to shut it down, but I didn't know if I was doing an injustice to you guys.
You let us know. That's what's important.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you, ma'am.
And
I'm a wreck sometimes.
we all are. I just appreciate your honesty. I hope you didn't lose any sleep over it. And
no, I woke up pretty early.
You did what you were supposed to do, and we all appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
I actually like moments like this because it reaffirms my belief that I trust jurors, but I know not everyone does. Everyone here trusts jurors that they don't read things or look at things because 99% of the trials, they're not sequestered.
I certainly applaud her coming forward with what happened, the way that she actually did it, the way they handled it. I thought this was done perfectly. That doesn't always happen. And oftentimes they will go out, they do see things, and whether it's innocent or not, there's a lot of information out there, whether it's through internet, TV, just people talking to you, and sometimes people get scared about saying these things, and they don't want to admit it until after and it's too late. So yeah, it does happen though.
Right. It does happen, and you never truly know whether or not they have seen something and just have not said anything. But I think that she was very honest in it being a potential issue, and she sounded very distressed while she was talking about it.
She wants to do the right thing
She
here.
wanted to do the right thing.
I mean, you've got social media, you've got your phone, you can access anything anywhere in the world. It's hard to really get away from it. And, you know, it was the fact she actually came forward and admitted that. I think more jurors actually go back and check stuff and look at stuff they're not to than they actually come forward and admit it like she did.
All right, so this is Thanksgiving Eve, right? This jury is now going to be home for like 4.5 days. They're going to be gathered around these tables. Everyone's going to be talking. What are your concerns? What do you think's happening?
I would be very concerned. I mean, aside from this juror, who I think did a fantastic job at coming forward with what happened and was, I mean, almost over the top with being how concerned with what had happened. Right. But the rest of the jurors, and nothing might happen, but there is a lot of potential for something to go wrong. And, all the effort and all the time they put into this trial to be for naught. And that's the last thing you want on either side.
There's nothing better than Thanksgiving dinner and court TV.
Right, exactly.
Talk about
well, that's the other thing, yeah. But locally, every case we cover is a big trial, but locally they're huge. Right. So for this jury, which is from there, this is the top story in the news every night. It's coming across their phones. I mean, how is there a better way, or do we just have to trust the jurors to self-report?
You just have to trust them to self-report, because there's no real way you can regulate what people talk about, whether eating turkey and dress. You don't know. And when they're checking their phones, you just don't know. Like Michael said, you just have to trust them to be as honest as this juror was and report any sort of impropriety to the court.
I want to propose to you my solution that Judge Politan would do, okay? I would have a stack of cards that wrote on it that would say, I cannot talk about this trial. Please do not ask me any more questions. I'm under a court order. And then it'll be signed by the judge. And then someone starts talking to you, give them to all the jurors, and someone starts talking to you, just hand them the card.
Or you could put them on
You
your
like that?
shirt.
That's a great idea. You can have a hat that you can wear.
A little necklace to it, and it just hangs down.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of these jurors don't even know, they don't know how to react to it. They don't know how to.
Or you could just sequester them and have the unhappiest jury
Oh.
of all time over Thanksgiving. I mean, talk about a nightmare.
Yeah, that would be extreme.
That would be bad. That would be bad. All right, folks, when we come back, you've heard our reaction, but I'm also listening to your reaction to a couple of stories tonight. This trial, and last night, we heard from Bill Cosby, his first interview ever behind bars. Huge reaction on social media to that. We'll talk about all of it when we return.
I swung the hammer and I hit her. She put her hands up. She said, "Why?" We came there to kill her.
The murder of Dr. Teresa Sievers. 2 men are already behind bars for the murder prosecutors say was planned and paid for by her own husband.
The only option that he had was for her to die.
We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
You didn't need to.
Shh. Just lie down.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Actually, it's called Purple, and it's nothing like memory foam. It's a totally unique gel grid technology, meticulously designed to cradle and support the human body. It sleeps cool, it's motion isolating, and honestly, I love it more than 2 of my 3 children.
Cool.
We loved our Purple so much, we got one for the guest bedroom. That way, when my in-laws come, they can stay in my bed and I can come.
Okay, feel that? Adapts instantly.
Honey!
Oh, hey, honey. Yeah, so just showing the guys the new Purple mattress.
It's Purple's biggest, comfiest Black Friday sale ever. Save up to $400 when you pair a Purple mattress with a premium sleep bundle at purple.com/TV.
Hi, I'm Roger Teeter, and believe me, I truly understand your back pain. In my 40s, I wrecked my back. On worst days, I could hardly get out of bed. I had to crawl, hands and knees, into the shower to get hot water in my back just to be able to stand up. Nothing really worked until I was introduced to inversion. The relief I got from inversion lasted longer than anything else I tried, And by inverting on a regular basis, I've been virtually pain-free for almost 40 years. I'm proud to introduce the latest, the most effective, the most comfortable teeter inversion table ever, the Teeter Fit Spine.
The Teeter offers natural relief from back pain, targeting the source of the ache by relaxing tense muscles and providing decompression that can help realign the spine, restore nutrients to the discs, and reduce painful nerve pressure.
Pain was part of my life, and not doing the things I love became part of my life. Now that the Teeter's here, Jim is back, and they cannot stop me.
The Teeter is easy to use. Simply set it, lock in, recline and relax. Over 3 million people have put their trust in Teeter to feel better, move better, and live better. I'm in my 80s, and I feel great.
Call or go online now and try the Teeter Fit Spine for 30 days for just $14.95. If you're not completely satisfied with how effective Teeter can be at helping to relieve your pain, send it back. Why suffer a second longer than you need to? $14.95 is all it takes to get started. This is a limited time offer not found in any store. Get ready to feel better, move better, and live better. Call or go online now to try the Teeter Fit Spine.
Call 1-800-293-2126. That's 1-800-293-2126 or go to getteeter.com. Order now.
Mr. Cosby, you are reaching people that I know you've always tried to reach. Being there obviously is no picnic, but do you feel like you are really accomplishing a mission now?
It's a huge smile in my spirit because subjects come up that I can come up and I can talk to them. Yes, and I'm even using their own profanity back at them.
That's Bill Cosby, now convicted sex offender, speaking from behind bars for the very first time. And the reporter who interviewed him, Stacey Brown, I spoke with him. Take a listen. Let me ask you about sex offenders. He was sentenced to, I believe, 3 to 10 years. The way you get out early on parole is by showing remorse. What is Bill Cosby going to do?
Bill Cosby has emphatically stated, he said it in the interview, he said it previous to that he's prepared to do the full 10 years because he refuses to admit to something he says he didn't do. And throughout the course of the trial, as I mentioned to you earlier, he would call me back. We'd have a lot of conversations, and we talked even about a deal that was supposedly offered by the prosecution in which he would actually serve 3 years of house arrest. We're an ankle monitor, and he told me that they will never strap an ankle monitor around him and sit in the house for 3 years over something he did not do.
All right, so that interview and the audio of Bill Cosby from behind bars creating a huge reaction on social media today. Let's get right to it. Pam writing, I once loved the shows he starred in, but now I find the man completely disgusting. Really, he feels he's been wronged by his shows not on the air. It's taking away his legacy. Sir, you destroyed your own legacy and now don't have the remorse a human being should have. Just fade away. Let's talk about remorse. Anyone here surprised that he is never going to show remorse and will just do the 10 years as an 82-year-old man, then attempt to get out on parole?
Well, I mean, he gave up this great plea offer that he had at the beginning in order to go to trial and then was found guilty. So, I mean, I understand him standing on his principles, but at some point, you've just got to, he's 80 years old.
Do you think there'll be a change of heart at any point?
No, I don't think it'll be a change of heart. I think that he's sticking to this point that he'll do the 10 years. He's not going to wear an ankle monitor. He's not going to do house arrest, and I don't think that's going to change for him.
And what do you think about public perception? Do you think it will evolve as he gets older and older as a man in prison? Do you think it'll change?
I think people are going to be pretty set in one of the two camps of either you respect him for his convictions and that he's innocent, or just hate him based upon the conviction and what he's been accused and found guilty of. And they're not going to really, those two camps aren't commingling. They're totally separate and they're going to stay that way.
Here's what Terry's writing. He is lucky he was able to live such a charmed life. He should have been arrested years ago. We confused his television persona with reality. Actors are rarely the way they seem on camera. And this was a case that dated back to allegations in 2004. One prosecutor looked at it, said, no, I'm not going to prosecute this case. 2014, looked at by another prosecutor, still within the statute of limitations, went forward. Do you think, big picture, is that fair to a criminal defendant?
I mean, he had this opportunity to kind of let things go and die off, and they opened it back up with this civil case, and during these depositions, some of this testimony came out that they used to ultimately go and get the warrants for his arrest. So, you know, he should have left it alone.
Well, it goes back to prosecutorial discretion in choosing whether to indict some cases and not to indict some cases. It may or may not be fair to a defendant, but the prosecutors have that right to determine which cases they will go forward on, which case they won't go forward on.
Does this answer the question that money isn't always the difference maker in our system of justice? I mean, Bill Cosby, probably one of the richest defendants, right? Billionaire.
Sure, but again...
Yet he could not beat a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old case.
But you have to look at it on the flip side. Was the money what led him to be where he was in terms of this case being reopened? If it wasn't for the civil suits, would this criminal case have reopened? And they're always tied together in some way, right? So I think, yes, in some ways, you're correct in your statement, but it actually might have affected him in a more negative way.
That's a great point. That's actually a great point. Not that he doesn't make great points all the time, but that's a really good one. All right, here was a little conversation we found online between Sophia and Megan. Sophia writing, these women were all grown adults, and some of them went back more than once at free will. They are not victims, but are culprits. This is normal victim behavior of adults who don't take responsibility for their actions, but always blame someone else when things go wrong in their lives. The victim stance is a powerful one. The victim is always morally right, neither responsible nor accountable, and forever entitled to sympathy. Megan writes back, 6 women, they were drugged. You are grasping at straws to see Cosby for anything other than what he is, a predator. How difficult is it to determine if someone is a predator versus someone is a target of wrongful accusations?
Depends what camp you want to be in. And I think those two...
But how about the truth? To figure out what's really going on, how difficult is that?
Well, it's hard to get to the truth when you've got a 14-year-old, 15-year-old case. I mean, those always bring up issues of doubt of what really happened. Why didn't this come up before? Why wasn't it prosecuted before now? All those things kind of linger in your mind. But at this point, he's been found guilty. What he's doing and his actions are kind of disrespectful to the jury verdict.
Well, that's the thing. It's just really a question for the jury, because you're always, like Michael said, going to have people on both extremes of this issue, whether or not these women were really victims or whether he was a predator. So it's really a question for a jury.
And the jury found him guilty.
Mm-hmm.
The jury did find him guilty. Now, we're going to switch to some of your reaction to Florida versus Mark Sievers. We begin with Danielle, who writes, I'll never understand what kind of friendship they had. Curtis must have really treasured their friendship. I don't think Curtis went through with murder only on the promise of life insurance money. I feel like since seeing both of his testimonies, it was mostly because of his loyalty to Mark as a friend. Mark, not very bright himself, took advantage of the fact that Curtis isn't very bright, needed money, and looked up to him. Do you think there could be more to this than just the $5 million in insurance money that Curtis would get some of it?
More do you need? I mean, that's the oldest motive in the book, money. You know, you had an insurance policy, you had somebody who needed the money. I mean, who wouldn't need $5 million or whatever equivalent he was getting from that $5 million? So I'm of the mindset that, I mean, that's the perfect motive for murder, money.
Do you find it odd that a best friend would ask his best friend to commit the murder?
I mean, who else are you going to ask? You know, if
I don't know. A lot of times it's an undercover police officer, right? But are you surprised that a best friend and on his wedding day?
It's a weird scenario. I mean, I've certainly never heard of somebody propositioned to commit murder on their own wedding day. I mean, it's an insane scenario.
Is it believable? Do you think that the jury will buy it? Is it so strange that you wouldn't make it up?
That's a good point. It has gotten so strange that why would you make up something to this degree that's so strange?
If the defense is going to win this case, though, they've got to point us in another direction than where the prosecution's pointed us so far.
We need a theory.
Yeah, they need a theory. Phil writes, If the fact that Mark's circle of friends were swingers, there's no telling what the relationships were like. Maybe Curtis had feelings for Mark that involved more than just loyalty. As far as turning state's evidence, Curtis realizes that any relationship he had outside of prison is gone, and he just wants that reduced sentence he was promised for testifying. He got quite a deal. I mean, he described in brutal detail what he did to Teresa Sievers. It was a 25-year deal.
You think he got a great deal?
25 years?
Yeah. That's
25
not a deal
years.
at all.
That's not a deal?
That's absolutely not a
Mark
deal.
Sievers facing the death penalty.
Yeah.
He could have faced the death penalty.
Well, yeah. He's facing the death penalty, but he's not going to get it. I'd put money on that. He's not going to get the death penalty.
I mean, if they didn't kill Jimmy Rogers. Right?
Yeah. If they didn't give Rogers the death penalty, there's no way.
Well, Rogers only got second-degree murder, so now he's not even eligible for it.
Well, that's my point. Between the two, forget it.
And Rogers is the one swinging the hammer, right?
Well, it depends. The first jury in the first trial said no, Rogers did not. They didn't believe he held the hammer. But Curtis Wright testified that the hammer was swinging the hammer as well as himself. So, all right, one more. Ellen, I'm dumbfounded. He acts like he was asking him to borrow a cup of sugar. Just the way that it's described, the solicitation of murder is so casual.
And that's what we're saying, like, it's so strange that you could almost say, who would make this up? It's like you're asking somebody to murder somebody at a wedding, you know what I mean? It's just not the normal topic of conversation. I mean, it's just so bizarre.
Perhaps if we're watching an episode of The Sopranos, at a wedding in the corner, there might be a little deal. But it wouldn't be with the groom.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and the relationship, nothing really fits together to make sense. I think, honestly, even for the state's theory or what we've really seen from the defense, other than just picking apart the state's case. So like I said earlier, there's a lot of holes in the case that need to be filled in here.
Linda's writing, I do believe they resemble each other, but so do thousands of other men who are bald, shaven, with goatees. I was checking to make sure none of us are bald, shaven, with goatees. I believe Sievers is a manipulative, cocky, full of himself individual who took advantage of an extremely loyal friend. But as I've said, he was unaware that Larry and Curly would show up to carry out his master plan, not the dynamic duo. All right, let's start with the Larry and Curly part of this. There were so many, and I've been saying the word, I think, stupid I've been using, or mistakes, or things you're just like, I can't believe that someone who's a contract killer would do this.
It wasn't much of a master plan.
No, not exactly.
Curtis Wright testified that they didn't even know how they were going to kill her. At the time they were in the house, they just happened to come across a hammer that was there.
What kind of hired killer goes in to kill someone without a weapon?
So what does that mean? What does that mean towards Mark Sievers?
Unprepared to the extremes, what it means.
Yeah.
Does that make the prosecution theory less credible that Sievers contracted Curtis Wright and Rogers to carry this out?
I think to a degree it does. But again, the biggest problem for the defense is that they have to overcome somebody taking the stand and testifying against him and laying out in detail what he got paid to do. And that's a very difficult thing to do.
All right, when we come back, folks, it was a short week, but there was a lot of evidence put in front of this jury. Who had a better week, the prosecution or defense? Our think tank will answer that question when we return.
Wow, you look great.
Thanks.
I mean it, you just don't age. Have you had some work done?
No, but I started taking a new supplement for women called Lumiday Radiance Within, and I really noticed a difference.
Introducing Lumiday Radiance Within, the total beauty supplement designed by women for women.
I feel like I find a new wrinkle every day.
I know, when I turned 40, everything changed, and using those expensive creams wasn't working.
Text SKIN to 231231 to claim your complimentary 2-week sample now. The key ingredients in Radiance Within are clinically researched to bring back youthful glowing skin, fuller, shinier hair, and stronger nails.
I noticed my wrinkles less, I'm less hungry, and I
Even what?
Well, let's just say things have heated up with Paul.
Now I have to try it.
Prove it to yourself. Text SKIN to 231231. Radiance Within is creating a sensation at GNC, but you can only get your complimentary sample by texting SKIN to 231231.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance, but she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
Best Fiends. Meet Hank and Roger, the not-so-dynamic duo. Join the adventure. Collect tons of cute characters and solve thousands of fun puzzles. Download free today. That's friends without the R. Best Fiends.
Don't look good.
Yeah, it looks like it's both. Just what I don't need.
This is what you do need. Complete the application within minutes, and if approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow. Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Attention! The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has officially authorized new benefits that Medicare Advantage plans may include. To get the benefits you deserve, you can call the Medicare Coverage Helpline.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. If you're on Medicare, this is important information. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly looked up my coverage. In this one simple call, they offered to enroll me in a plan that includes rides to medical appointments, private home aides, doctors and nurses' visits by telephone, and even home-delivered meals. The plan also includes dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost.
Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call the number on your screen now. It's free.
Call 1-800-497-5903. That's 1-800-497-5903 now.
20 years ago, millions worldwide discovered a fitness phenomenon, the Ab Doer. Now meet the next generation, Ab Doer 360. It combines an abdominal and muscle activating workout with aerobics to burn calories and work muscles simultaneously.
It's really great to get that cardio workout in while you're also sculpting your muscles.
The secret is the patented core support column that works the major muscles of your midsection. It features breakthrough innovations like the dynamic fluidity seat that engages your abdominal core and burns calories.
I got on that machine the first day and went, this is going to do the job.
In fact, research shows the Abdoer 360 activates the same muscles as the gold standard crunch, but off the floor in padded comfort. Now it's your turn. The next generation Abdoer 360 fitness system from Thane.
To get yours now, go online at abdoer360.com or visit these fine online retailers.
The evidence will establish.
He asked me if I would kill her.
I mean, he contacted his boss and said he wasn't going to be able to be at work because he was still in Florida.
Did she make those 9 a.m. visits or 9 a.m. Appointments?
Yes.
Did she make this 9 a.m. appointment on June 29th?
No, sir.
And was it normal for her to miss an appointment like that?
No, sir.
When she missed the appointment, what did you do?
I tried calling her.
And did you get to respond to the Walmart to look for surveillance video?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was the purpose of looking for surveillance video at that Walmart?
I was made aware that there was video the day prior to the murder that we need to go pull from inside the store. We had exterior video, I need to pull interior video.
Did you receive a visit from some Lee County Sheriff's detectives looking for some video from your Bushnell Circle K in the early morning hours of June 29th of 2015?
Yes.
And were you able to search your DVR system and locate the video that they were looking for?
Yes.
As far as you're aware, between you and Miss Weta Francis, you had from Fort Myers to Gainesville covered locating videos.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall how many places you went to yourself?
I would guess probably 10 or 12.
Did you at some point lend him a Garmin to use?
Yes.
Why did he ask you if he could borrow your Garmin?
I think he's just going to program all the places he goes and where he's been.
And that was as you mentioned earlier, a prepaid track phone that was activated as part of your network?
Yes.
Where was the phone activated?
Where it was purchased?
Yes, purchased, sorry.
It was purchased at the Walmart store.
Okay, and what's the address with that Walmart store?
5420 Juliet Boulevard, Naples, Florida, 34109.
What did Detective Downs ask you to do, and what did you end up trying to do?
I wanted to, on the tower dumps, I'd look for the Georgia area code and the California area codes. And the tower dump on Jarvis Road was the night of the homicide, around 11:30 p.m. I put it in. And the tower dump in Missouri was May 17th, because I understood that was the first time that they had communicated on burner phones in Chapel Hill. So I let him know that those two phone numbers talk to each other at those times.
All right, so we had a lot of video evidence, cell phone evidence, and it really tracking the movements of Wright and Rogers throughout. Jury got to see it all, but who had a better week? Was it the prosecution or the defense? Let's bring back in our think tank and get an answer tonight. Begin with criminal defense attorney Dwayne Singleton. Who had the better week, prosecution or defense?
I'd be pretty worried if I was the defense at this point. I mean, you really need to lay out your case a little bit through your cross-examination, and they haven't really shown any points. No doubt's been really built. I'd be worried at this point. So I think the prosecution had the better week.
All right, Elizabeth Manuel, prosecution or defense this week?
I would say prosecution. I think they're doing a good job of putting the pieces together and laying out their case, and then forming the line that points straight to the defendant as the person who orchestrated this crime. So I would say that prosecution had the better week.
Michael Bixon, prosecution or defense this week?
This pains me. This pains me a lot.
I'm making them do it.
The state, the prosecution, I think, so far has this case. We need a solid theory from the defense, and I haven't seen it, aside from Curtis Wainwright is lying and, Mark Sievers is innocent, and that's it. And that's not going to carry him through this trial. They need something more definite as to why he's lying, aside from just, the sentence that he's got in exchange for the testimony that he's given. So we need something more solid from the defense.
All right, and I'm going to agree, make it unanimous tonight. The prosecution had a better week. They should have a better week because they're in their case, folks. If they don't, that's a huge problem, especially in a case like this. The bottom line, a lot of testimony and evidence about Wright and Rogers, but you need that. That is part of the conspiracy. They are 2/3 of the conspiracy. Now, next week, they need to finalize this case in this prosecution by finishing with an exclamation point and linking Sievers even more to this entire conspiracy.